Hi, my name is Nicole Bandis, and I want to welcome you to my brand new channel, Off the Hook Crochet. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about myself, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more a little bit later because, well, the nature of these videos is you need to know what's in this for you first, right? Okay, so briefly, very briefly, I started crocheting a year ago. So I don't have a tremendous amount of time under my belt. And you might be wondering, why the heck am I doing a YouTube channel if I'm not like an expert crocheter? And I'll get to that. But first, I want to tell you what you really want to know if you're going to actually invest some time into this channel. Now, I have some notes. So occasionally I'm going to be looking back and forth, but I want this to be really, truly authentic. So I'm probably not going to do a lot of edits on these. I'll do a little minor stuff here and there. We'll see how it goes. But what am I going to share here on this channel? First of all, I love tips and tricks and hacks and all of that weird stuff that's like, does that really work? I want to share those with you because I know that I've been crocheting. I've been joining some crochet groups. I've been joining some crochet circles that meet locally. And a lot of people aren't exposed to these hacks. And some of these I just kind of come up with on my own. Um, I've been accused of having an engineer brain. I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, but so I kind of sometimes always think about the easier way to do things. And whether it's a hack that I've seen or a tip that I've seen or something that I come up with on my own, I want to share those with you here. But I also love sharing pattern ideas because I know that truly I am always looking for an awesome pattern. And I kind of love watching those other YouTube channels that will share with you like 25 patterns you can do with a ball of scrap yarn and all of those kind of things. So I figure if I enjoy them, watching them, maybe I'll enjoy creating them and sharing them with you as well. But one of the key things that I really want this channel to be about is experimentation. Like, I'm going to show you some of the things that I've been working on or some of the things that I've done. And it's crazy the amount of experimenting that I do on my crochet. To me, crochet is an art and it's not a science, which means sometimes I can do something that I didn't expect to do or try something that sort of breaks the mold, which is why I called this channel Off the Hook. Because not only does hook have to do with crochet, of course, but I'm letting myself off the hook when it comes to the rules of crochet, the rules of doing YouTube channels, all of the rules. I'm letting myself off the hook and do whatever the heck works. So I'm just going to have fun with it. And I'm going to share some of those experiments with you, whether they are a total flop or truly amazing. That remains to be seen. We'll check it out as we go. And then, just some random thoughts that I see in some of these groups. I'll see chats and I'm like, oh gosh, I really want to share some insight on that. Or that's a great kind of life lesson. Let's talk about some of that stuff as it relates to crochet. So that's some of what I'm going to share on this channel as we go through. And some of the things that I'm not going to share, if you're looking for tutorials on how to do the single stitch or how to really make a pattern from start to finish, I'm not going to do those things here. Again, the channel's called Off the Hook. So if I do break those rules, I'm letting myself off the hook. But generally speaking, this channel's not going to be about tutorials. There's plenty of YouTubers that can do that for you much better than I can. So I'm going to stay in my lane and stay focused on the things that I like to do. And the other thing that you're not going to see a lot of on this channel is granny squares because I'm not a huge fan. Now, I do have a couple of projects that I started with that I did granny squares, but overall, I'm generally not a big granny square fan. So if that's your thing, you're probably not going to see a lot of that here. Now, why did I start this channel? That's a really good question. I'm interviewing myself right now, so we're just having fun with it. I started the channel. To be honest, I wasn't going to do a crochet channel. I've done YouTube for my other business. I've done YouTube for some of my clients. Nothing on a major, huge scale. I've helped my son do some YouTube stuff. So I have a really strong background in doing YouTube, and I really was not going to do a crochet channel for YouTube. And part of the reason was because I love to crochet and I didn't want to turn that into a job. So I tend to overcommit to things. I tend to go over the top and think, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And so again, I'm breaking all the rules and I'm letting myself off the hook and I'm just going with the flow and seeing what comes of this. And when I kind of figured that out, I'm like, "Oh, maybe I can do this." And I've had several people say, "Nicole, you really need to do a YouTube channel. You're very creative. You come up with great ideas. You really know how to curate interesting things. You need to do a YouTube channel." So after hearing, that planted in my brain a few times, and I'm like, I don't know, kind of maybe a moment of weakness. I'm like, well, I came up with a great name, so maybe I'll go ahead and do it, and a name that lets me off the hook from doing all of the obligations. So, I love educating and sharing ideas and thoughts and those kind of things. So I thought that would make a really interesting channel. Yeah, so here I am. I hope you enjoy it. I really do because I would love to build a community. But honestly, if there's only 2 or 3 people watching, I'm okay with that too. Because this is really just more about me getting an opportunity to document things as I go. And hopefully, a few people see those things and enjoy it and let themselves off the hook from having to follow patterns exactly or follow the rules step by step. So we'll see. Okay, back to why I started to crochet. Now, my mother has crocheted my entire life, but primarily knit. My mother-in-law has knit and crocheted for the 23 years, 25 years that I've been with my husband, 23 years married. So I have a lot of direct exposure to this, and I've never taken an interest in it. In fact, probably quite the opposite. My mother-in-law's made me a few things. My mother, when I was growing up, made me a few things, but I never really had that much of an interest in the things that they were making. And if truth be told, I had a little bit of a gag reflex when it comes to thinking about crochet because I am just, that the image is etched on my brain of the wood paneled home with the fall autumn colors of the deep browns and the oranges and the mustard yellows. That's what the couch looks like, and draped over the couch is that blanket with the granny squares made out of that rough scratchy acrylic yarn that we all despised. And this was my concept of knitting and crochet for the longest time. So I honestly believed if you were going to knit or crochet, you had two choices. You either use that rough, scratchy yarn, or you had to spend so much money that it just wasn't worth it. Because honestly, I'm a really frugal person. I'm not a spendy person. You're not going to go see any big, huge yarn splurges here. Now, that doesn't mean I don't go buy yarn, but I'm not buying hordes of yarn that I'm not going to actually end up using most of the time. Again, I get to be off the hook if I do so. So it was one of these two extremes, either rough, scratchy, icky yarn or really, really high end, overly expensive. I didn't want to spend that kind of money kind of yarn. And if I did spend money on that kind of yarn, then I had to hand wash it. And who wants to do that? Not not me, not at least for the longest period of time. I was not going to hand wash something. If I couldn't throw it in the washer and then throw it in the dryer, forget about it. It wasn't happening. So this was the thing. I was kind of stuck in this mindset. I was stuck thinking that this is all that crochet was all about. And so I'm like, no, not for me, not interested. And then I started seeing these ads for this company that I'm sure many of you are very familiar with called Woobles. Have you seen these things? They are freaking adorable. They are these little kits that teach you how to make a cute little small critter or item that's kind of like a stuffed animal, but it's very small. And it's this process called amigurumi. I know that's a tough word to say. Amigurumi. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right because there's a lot of different pronunciations of that word that I've heard. And I'm like, well, that's kind of neat. I like those. And I have a granddaughter. So I think it would be really fun to make these kind of little things for her because growing up, I had like a massive stuffy collection. Um, and so I thought that might be a fun thing to just do in my spare time because I love crafts. I really do. But I have tried jewelry making. I've tried decoupage. I've tried stenciling. I've tried painting. I've tried, you name it. And I've scrapbooking. I've tried it. nothing stuck. I just, it's like, okay, I buy the supplies, not a ton because I always wanted to test the waters. And it just never grabbed me. Nothing ever really felt like I got it fast enough to make it worth the time and effort to do. So I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, maybe I'll talk to my mother-in-law about her teaching me how to crochet. And I asked her, and she's like, she was a bit hesitant, to be honest. And I think that comes from she's tried to teach other people before and they never really latched onto it. So she kind of felt like it was a waste of her time. She didn't want to invest any more time in teaching somebody how to do something that they weren't really going to stick with. So she gave me a few pointers uh, of how to look up some basic patterns on Ravelry, which is a knitting and crochet database, basically, of patterns and yarns and all that kind of good stuff. And then suggested that I go look up videos on YouTube. And so I did. And I'm like, I think I can figure this out. She did give me a couple of hooks and a little bit of yarn to get started with. And let's see, I went out and bought some yarn, and I think this is probably, let me make sure the camera's on this. Yeah. This is probably one of the first things that I did. I think I did a washcloth in yellow first, and then this was maybe the second one. You can see, I actually, I'm like, oh, I can do this. So I'm going to do the gradient, and this is with 2 yarns. But you can see my edges are completely wonky. You know, it's like, whoop, and then whoop, kind of looks like a bell, I think, if you really look at it. But this is one of the first things I did. And so I'm like, okay, well, I got the concept of the stitch down. Now I just need to start perfecting things. And so that's what I did is I started to kind of work on some of those and practicing and not really getting wrapped up in what the end product was. My mother-in-law kind of gave me this piece of advice. She said, um, you're going to have to frog a lot of things, and that's okay. Now, if you don't know what frogging is, I'm sure most of you probably do, but frogging is basically when you rip something out. It's like rip it out, rip it out, rip it out. So it kind of sounds like a frog sound. And she said, you're going to have to frog a lot of things. I'm like, I'm okay with that because with crochet, ripping it out, it's still you're not getting rid of anything, you haven't ruined anything. Like when I used to do jewelry making, if I didn't get the wire to work the way I wanted to, the wire was all bent and I'd have to throw that out and start over again. So I just, I was working on these different things and practicing, and if I have to rip it out, that's okay. So then I moved on to granny squares. Okay, yes, I know I said I'm not a big fan, and I'm still not a big fan. But this was one of my first like legit projects. It was a granny square purse, and I actually do actually use this. You can tell there's a theme here. I love Americana and patriotic colors and that kind of thing. My RV that you'll actually probably see a few videos in. My first rig was called Betsy, for Betsy Ross. So we did the American flag and all that kind of stuff. And I still carry that red, white, and blue through. And I love, I love my country. It's kind of cool. But yeah, so this is my patriotic red, white, and blue granny square bag. And probably one of the reasons that I said, I'm not a big fan. But I actually keep a little pouch in this so that the things aren't just flying all over the place, which is kind of handy. And then I moved on to a bucket hat again, red, white, and blue. And I can look at this thing and I can say, oh my God, it's awful. I hate this thing because there's no brim. It like looks funny on my head. But you know what? I've actually gotten so many compliments on this. I'm still working with that internal part of me that says it's okay to accept compliments for things that you don't fully think you did your best on, because they don't know that you didn't do your best on it, and they might actually love it. So it's okay to accept those compliments. That is a work in progress for me. I totally admit it. But I do wear this, even though I'm not a fan. I'll probably make another one that maybe has the bigger brim. But this was one of the first projects I did. I'm like, let me try that. But wait, wasn't I going to do amigurumi? Wasn't I going to make these little critters and creatures? Well, I kind of figured out, yeah, but I'm not that great at it so far. Still got a lot of practice to do. This was the first one that I created. I've actually made this guy for my granddaughter and for my great nephew. So I've actually made it a couple of times. You see, I'm using the zoom eyebrows. Can you see them? They're kind of every now and again, woohoo, they move funny. I don't like doing makeup. In fact, sometimes you're going to see me with a messy bun. I'm totally okay with that because I'm breaking all the rules and I've let myself off the hook. But I have gotten a little better with the amigurumi. This is my scrap buster inner beast monster. He was so much fun to do, just using a ton of random scraps. So you can see I do a little bit of everything. Yes, I made this shirt sweater. This was one of my first wearables, and I'm getting better. That's the point of this channel. This channel isn't because I am the expert, I know everything, and you are coming here to learn everything for me. It's really more about saying, you got this, you can do this. And if something doesn't go right, let yourself off the hook. It's okay. You don't have to be absolutely perfect in everything. This is a craft, it is an art, and the little things that don't quite, I mean, okay, this guy's kind of, there is a great GIF, whatever you want to call it, with a little girl that says, he's so ugly, I love him. And that's kind of how I feel about some of my amigurumi. They're so ugly because I'm not that good at it yet, but I'm doing it. I'm getting out there and I'm doing it, right? So I want you to get out there and do it too. I want you to have fun with this. I love to experiment. I love to change up a pattern. I love to say, this isn't working. This so far, I think, is my favorite and the thing that I am absolutely the most proud of. This is a dress. Let's see if I can back up a little so you can see it, that I made for my granddaughter, and I'll be giving that to her in a couple of months. The pattern actually called for it to go to about here, but she said, Gamma, I want it all the way to the floor. She's 4 years old. She said, Gamma, I want it all the way to the floor. So I experimented. I changed the pattern. I changed the bottom so that I made it progressively more lacy. I just changed the stitch pattern a little bit to make it lacier. It's not coming across on the camera quite as vibrant in the colors that it is, but it's actually really very bright colors. But she's gonna love this. And so I didn't have the exact pattern for exactly what it was. So I had already been into it. And then she tells me she wants it to be longer. That's okay. I changed the rules and I'm letting myself off the hook for doing so. So I'm going to experiment with things. I'm going to change things up. I'm going to try different types of yarn. I have one video coming up that's all about these amazing different types of yarn that my mother-in-law gave me. So, you know, it's not just about what you can get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Joann's. There is a whole world of yarn out there that you can have fun and experiment with. So I'll be sharing a little bit about that and doing some fun things, but it's really going to be not about what it's supposed to look like, whether it's a piece of crochet or the YouTube video. Maybe I don't have super editing done. I can do that. I'm going to choose not to 99% of the time, at least for now. Maybe it's not about, you know, having perfect edges on my crochet project. I can work with that. I can make it better. I can make it a piece of art, and I can break those rules. So this is all about breaking some of those rules. And you know what? Here's one of the things that has stopped me from doing YouTube channels or Instagram stories or anything like that in the past, is that I had to be pretty. Yeah, I'm totally using the Zoom video eyebrows right now because I don't want to have to do my hair and makeup every single time I do these videos. So I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to record whether I have a messy bun or I just got out of the shower and my hair is ready for a photograph. It doesn't matter. I'm letting myself off the hook to record whenever and however I feel like it, no matter what I look like. Hopefully you don't mind, because that's just who I am, and I really want to be authentic in that way. And I'm going to have fun, okay? If you hear me being monotone when I'm recording a video, I'm probably not feeling my best that day. I'm going to try not to record. Occasionally, it probably might happen because, again, I'm breaking all the rules and I'm going to let myself off the hook. Oh, yeah, that feels really good to me. It really does. So what can you expect? I'm going to try and record every week and have something available to you every week. My next couple of videos, I think I've got ideas for like the next 15 videos already. Some of those are going to be like, we're getting ready to go on an RV trip. So things that I can make for the RV. How do I organize my yarn stash? Because I know those organization things are huge. How do I organize my patterns? Do I use a digital system? Do I do a written pattern, log somehow? What do I do for that? How do I choose my next project? That's kind of a big one for me. Like, oh my gosh, there are so many amazing things that I want to make. How do I choose what's next? Breaking out of that Hobby Lobby Joanne Michaels mode and realizing that there are amazing yarns out there. And oh, this one's going to be my fun. Well, that didn't work kind of projects. So I'm going to share with you the things that just didn't go well. This is not all about what's perfect. I really want to share with you what I messed up. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really do hope that you are as excited to watch these videos as I am to share them with you. And if you are, I would love to invite you to subscribe, and if you're really adventurous, click that notification bell so that it actually sends you a message letting you know whenever I record new ones and put them up. Totally appreciate any comments that you share, because that's kind of like a YouTube currency. Like, if you want these videos for free, like, share, and comment. That's the currency. That's how you pay me for actually putting in the time and effort to do these. And if you don't feel like it, that's okay too. So I look forward to chatting with you in the comments and seeing you on the socials, and hearing from you about what you think. Is this something that is just going to be amazing? Or are you like, why are you doing this? Yeah, we'll see you next time. And I look forward to it for now. Oh, wait. And I'm going to let you off the hook.